don't you get your questions out of you like that? Okay.
Don't start it yet, Wendy.
You're going to have to move that camera so that whoever's
What are you
asking...
going to say? I'm going to say, hello, welcome to the Craig and Shelby show. Savy comes in.
Yeah, but you have to say, okay. You press that button.
Welcome to the Craig and Shelby show. Who's our guest today, Shelby?
Miss Savy.
Please welcome our guest, Miss Savy. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, that's nice.
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here in my living room.
Okay, we have some questions for you. Shelby, why don't you go start with the first question?
What made you decide to become a teacher?
All right. I guess that I used to work as a programmer in a very small office, and even though I was making a lot of money doing it, I got really bored working at a computer all day long in that little tiny office with no one to talk to and just sitting there. So I decided that I was going to go back and do my first love, which was to be a teacher.
Wow.
Wendy.
Okay, our next question. How do you punish your students?
How do I punish my students,
Yes.
or how do I...
What form does your punishment take?
Detention.
Yes, good, Shelby. Sometimes I keep them a minute after class, like if they use profanity or insult someone.
Thank you.
Sometimes I give them lunch detention. And sometimes they get a referral if they do something really bad.
Yeah, don't mess with Miss Savy.
Yeah.
Okay, Shelby, your turn. Third question.
When did you first become a teacher?
I first became a teacher a long time ago when I was 26 years old. Don't ask me what year that was or how many years ago it was.
Why not?
Because...
That
Okay.
gives you a hint.
What is the hardest thing about being a teacher?
The hardest thing about being a teacher is when you have to follow up on something that you told kids you were going to do if they kept doing something that you don't want them to do. And also the hardest thing about being a teacher is having to give someone an F.
What's the most rewarding thing about becoming a teacher? Question mark.
The most rewarding thing about being a teacher is when I realized that I help kids to understand something that they were having a trouble with, or when they say things sincerely and spontaneously, like, oh, that's really neat, and they really mean it, and they're not just saying it to suck up.
Suck up.
Yeah.
A lot of people do
Okay.
that.
How long did it take you to become a teacher?
Well, first of all, you have to have your bachelor's degree. That takes about 4 years, although it took me 5 years because I transferred to 2 different colleges. And then you need, in the state of California, 1 year of extra teacher coursework, and that's to get your credential. So 5 years total.
How long did it take to become a teacher?
Oh, that's what we do. The next one.
Deja vu.
What's the most funniest thing that ever happened to you?
As a teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funniest thing that ever happened to me as a teacher? Well, there's a lot of funny things that happened as a teacher. Some of them happened this year, but I think the weirdest thing, I don't know if it was ha-ha funny, but it was just kind of unusual, was when I was a TA at UC Riverside. This was when I was getting my master's. I was teaching a very small class, and I was writing on the chalkboard, and all of a sudden I heard one of my students say, "Oh," and I turned around because I knew something was wrong, and it turned out that her water had broken and she was going into labor.
Wow.
Yeah, so I told everybody they could go home except her, and I drove her back to her house.
Did she have a baby?
Wasn't that in college?
Yeah, that was at UC Riverside.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
What was the best homework excuse you ever got?
Oh, no, wait, I have to go back and
Oh,
add something.
Okay.
Okay, in a similar theme though, I have had pregnant girls in class. When I used to teach at Moreno Valley High School before I came to Paloma Valley High School, there was a girl in my class who was pregnant, and I didn't even know it the whole time because she hid it so well.
Wow.
And one day she came back to a class, she had been absent for about a week, and she said, "Can I get my makeup work?" And I said, "Oh, you know, where were you? What happened?" And she said she had a baby, and I thought it was stupid.
Wow, she did that pretty well.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the best homework excuse you ever heard?
Okay, the best homework excuse was also at Moreno Valley High School, and normally kids know that I'm
He
pretty...
got shot.
Do you want to tell the story, or do I tell the story?
Like he got shot in the head.
That's the story. Thanks,
Okay,
Wendy.
Wait, I want
Go
to
ahead
hear the
and tell
whole
the story. I
thing.
haven't heard the whole story.
Okay, what happened?
Our audience would like to hear it.
Well, to make a long story short, what I was saying was normally I'm pretty strict. If it's late, it's half credit. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? But this kid came in one day, and he said, "Miss Savy, I really need an extra day to do my homework." And I said, "Well, you know, it's half credit for late work." And he says, "But something happened, and I could not do my homework." And I said, "Well, what happened?" And he said, "I was walking down the street with my brother, and he got shot in the head, and so we had to go to the hospital." And it was true.
Wow.
So I
Was his
said-
brother okay later?
Yeah, he was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a drive-by shooting. So I said, "Okay, that's fine. You can turn in your homework tomorrow or next week or whatever you want to. No problem."
Okay.
Favorite subject you teach?
My favorite subject to teach, I would have to say, is calculus, because I really love that subject.
What were you like in high school?
Oh.
It depended on what class I was in. If I was in my math class, then I participated a lot. I was always raising my hand. In my other classes, I think I was a little bit more distracted, and I talked to my neighbors once I got my seat moved because I was talking too much. But I never got detention or anything like that.
What was your first day of teaching?
What was your first day of teaching?
What was your first day of teaching like?
Oh, it was pretty scary.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was at a private high school, and I just remember being absolutely terrified. I was fortunate though because it was a private school. The kids cut me a lot of slack, and they're pretty well behaved.
If you could be anything besides a teacher, what would it be?
A screenwriter.
That was easy.
What jobs have you had besides a teacher?
Besides being a teacher, a lot of people know I worked in a movie theater. That was when I was in high school and in college. And I mentioned I was a programmer. And I was a bookkeeper for a while too.
Bookkeeper?
For an accountant. Yeah.
Who was the most unruly student you ever had?
That's a hard question. Let's just say that it's a tie. I would say it's someone at Paloma who was in my geometry class 2 years ago. In fact, there are probably 3 people who would hold that distinction from 2 years ago, and I think they know who they are.
Is it Jennifer Peters?
I'm not
Wendy!
saying.
What other jobs would you like to have?
What about the guy that said he was going to kill you?
Oh. He wasn't unruly, he was just demented. Yeah. You already asked me that question. What other jobs would you like to have?
Not have you had, but would you like to have?
But I said screenwriting.
Oh, you're right, we did.
I could give you a different answer this
Okay.
time. Actress.
Okay.
Talk show host. That's it. I want to be a talk show host.
You want to rule the world.
And I want to rule the world. Thank you.
And be a multi-millionaire!
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Savy, for being our guest today.
Well,
It's been our pleasure.
Thank you. It was a joy being here.